I'm your host, Ali Banks. In this platform, I like to bridge the gap from what the entrepreneur knows to what the everyday speaker knows or the everyday listener knows. Um, they say that the biggest gap in the world is between knowing and doing. And the reason a lot of people don't do is because they simply don't know. So, what I like to do is utilize my platform to help you get 1% better every day with various topics. Today, we're going to be touching on men's mental health. Um, So I have a few things written down on the board, and these are just things that relate to me and average men that I've talked to, my friends, family member, peers, people online, and these are four things that weigh heavy on them when it comes to their mental health. You have the anxiety, right? We all know the anxiety is like uneasy feeling, nervousness, depression. Depression are thoughts, the way you feel about yourself, your self worth, how you look at yourself, how you feel about yourself when you get up in the morning. Unresolved trauma. We all know this comes from conception all the way up into adulthood. People go through traumatic experiences all the time. Relationship, how all this relates to relationships and business. We're going to talk about how it can affect relationships and business life, but also how you can reverse this and utilize it to your benefit. Because everything that comes with the adversity comes with it the equal advantage as well, but you have to get past the adversity in order to get to the equal advantage. And I'm going to discuss some of those things today. So we can jump right into it. We can start off with anxiety. Like I previously said, anxiety by definition is just a nervousness, uneasy feeling. And I'm sure we've all been in those situations where we knew what the outcome could be, so we was nervous. We wasn't very knowledgeable on the situation that we were getting ourselves into, so it created anxiety. Maybe it was social influence that created anxiety. Maybe it's this big test. I was discussing with one of my friends previously about this, and it's crazy how schools can program certain things into your mind at an early age. Now we all know they pop quiz. We all know about tests. But how many of us, just put it down in the comment section if you feel this way, on the big day of test day, no matter how much you prepare, no matter how much you study, you still felt uneasy or nervous, correct? A lot of that comes from the unknown, like being unknown about it. So how do you navigate past this anxiety? Because we all know being nervous is not something that you cannot do. It just happens. It's a natural thing that happens within all of us. Being nervous, having anxiety, it's a natural thing. And I think that's one thing a lot of people need to realize as well, is having these things is normal. We have many chemicals running throughout our body. So depending on what you're eating, who you're around, what you're watching, what you're listening to, what you're allowing to come in and out of your mouth, they say life and death is in the power of the tongue. That all stems back to the anxiety, because you're allowing certain things into your mind, and it's humans are impressionable. Faith comes from hearing, and so whatever you hear, see, talk about, that's what your reality becomes, because your thoughts become your reality. So what are you thinking about on a daily basis? What are you ingesting into your body? These are things that you have to be cognizant of when you're talking about anxiety. But to go back to the test thing, early on in life, they talk about anxiety. They talk about us taking tests, and they created this nervousness within inside of us at an early age. So now, when anytime a big event comes up, anytime something unknown comes up, we go back into this childlike shell when it comes to anxiety. So I think the thing is not how can you resolve anxiety, but how can you navigate around anxiety? So one way that I navigate around anxiety, I like to look at it as a detour. Let's just say that you're driving and you run into a detour. So when you run into this detour, it's not like you can pick all the construction up and move it, right? And that's the same thing with anxiety. You can't just take it and remove it, but you can navigate around it, right? Just like the roadblock, you can navigate around it. Once you learn how to navigate around this anxiety and get to your correct destination or your correct detour, then you can go through and your day is, you can go on about your day. So let's just talk about ways that I detour from anxiety. and maybe you guys can apply them to your lives as well. And I want you guys to drop some more in the comment section if you have things that you guys utilize to navigate past your anxiety on big days or anything unknown. So some things that I like to do is prepare. So in the morning, I like to get up, write out my thoughts, write out my goals, my visions for the day, write out what I'm grateful for, maybe something that's on my mind. Because when you write everything down on paper, what I've tend to realize is when you write everything on paper and take it out of your mind, it's just like going to talk to somebody. You know, energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transferred from one entity to the next. And that's the same thing with your thoughts. Your thoughts are energy. Thoughts are things. So if you put them on paper, it's like you taking them out your mind, putting them on something else. Now you can visually see it and it does something for you. Now it makes you sit back like, whew, I can breathe. I can relax. Because that's all that anxiety is. It's you on edge. It feels like you're walking on eggshells. So properly planning, getting all those thoughts out of your head. Maybe it's a big day coming up and it's very unknown because you have no knowledge of what's about to happen. You need to do knowledge. You need to do knowledge. You need to do research on what it is that you're getting yourself into. Maybe it's a new business venture. Maybe you're about to start a new job. Maybe you're going to a new school. Maybe you're about to start, you know what I'm saying? You got transferred teams in the middle of the season. For anybody that's watching that plays sports, you can relate to this. That creates anxiety. So what can you do to navigate around that anxiety when this happens is research these things. Look into that school that you're about to go to. Look into that team that you're about to go to. Look into that new job. How are the people? What is HR like? These are things that you need to, because these are things that's going through your mind. That's what creates the nervous feeling like, man, okay, what if it's bad? Okay, but what if it isn't? You will never know until you walk into that unknown. But a lot of people like to prepare. Like some people can't get around their anxiety, so they have to, properly prepare. And those are things that I do to properly prepare or navigate around anxiety. When I know it's something big coming up, I like to prepare my mind first, but also just do my research on what it is that I'm getting myself into. Because a lot of times when we get past that unknown feeling, we're like, man, I was overthinking this. Drop down in the comment section if you're one of those people, you were like, man, I was overthinking this the whole time. I don't even know why I was nervous about it. Because a lot of times we are in our own heads. You know what I'm saying? And the greatest thing that you can do to relieve anxiety, and I will always say this, is pray about it. Talk to God about it. This is abundant behavior. So everything that I do draws back to just being abundant. So that anxiety, man, God can relieve that. He can navigate around it. If the notes don't work, if the properly planning doesn't work, and you still feel like you can't get over this hump, well, first and foremost, that should be the first thing that you do. Pray about it. We're going to navigate that. Pray about it first before you do the notes and before you do the research. Pray about it first. It's power in prayer. For those who believe, it's power in prayer. For those of you who don't believe, I want to tell you that I'm a product of somebody that believes. And, I've been through all of these things. These are not things that I'm just Googling. This is all my personal feelings towards this topic of men's mental health. So next topic, we're going to talk about depression. So what is depression? Depression is simply just thoughts and feelings, to be honest with you. That's why maybe drop it in the comment section if you felt depressed and it came and went, or if you was good one day, but then you like, man, I feel like I'm falling to a depression. Or you could have had a great day, but you got some bad news. Now you feel like you're in a depression. See, that's why depression isn't necessarily a diagnosis. It's always something that depression stems from. So first and foremost, when you're talking about depression, you have to really sit back and figure out what it's stemming from. Why am I feeling like this? And that goes back to journaling, man. That helped me. Like, really sit down and ask yourself, why do I feel like this? What are these feelings? Why do I feel this in my in my stomach? Why am I feeling this? And when you sit back and start to think to yourself like, man, I'm feeling this because of this. I'm feeling this because of this person. Or I felt disrespected. Or just letting that out, letting those feelings out. When you start to let those feelings out, you can breathe and it starts to relieve. I'm telling you, a lot of cancer and a lot of trauma, it starts in the gut. And when you store up how you feel, when you store up your emotions, they cause cancer over time. I'll tell you guys a quick story. I was reading my book. Oh man, The Myth of Normal is right over there on my table. The Myth of Normal, and in this book, it talks about how to deal with anxiety and in a toxic um a toxic world, for the lack of better words, a toxic world. Toxic culture is what it is, and it says that a lot of times the depression that we're feeling or these emotions that we're feeling, it's never depression. It's always stemming from something else. There was a story in there, and it talks about this little kid, and it talks about this little kid, and he's in war. Well, no, he's not at war. They are overseas in the Middle East, and the country has been like, this is back in the, what I'm saying, way back in the day. I can't remember the exact date. Don't quote me on the date. But during this time of war, everybody was getting taken captive. People were leaving on boats. Everybody was escaping because their town was getting bombed on. And so this little kid got lost. He lost his parents or whatever. And when you're a kid, you don't have that response that adults have yet. It's not developed in your frontal lobe. It hasn't developed yet. For lack of better words, like a fight or flight response. When you're going through these situations as a kid, you don't have that situation to either hide or deal with it. So what you do is internalize it. That's why a lot of times when you see kids and they go through traumatic experience or they go through these depressive states, they will not talk. That's why you have a lot of kids that do not talk when they've gone through stuff. You see a lot of movies where it shows kids in these homes and they're just quiet and they timid. It's because when kids don't know how to decipher their feelings, they just shut down immediately. So a lot of us, it's something stemming from that. It's not the depression. It's something deeper than that. You have to sit down and really ask yourself, why am I feeling like this? And then sometimes when I'm feeling like this, I'm like, man, I was overthinking it. You have to sit down and really tell yourself, I'm not crazy. These are natural feelings that I'm feeling, and I can get out of this with God. The main thing that I did to get through my depression or battle my depression, because a lot of people look at depression as this thing that, oh, I took that pill, depression's gone. No, depression is an everyday battle. Anxiety is an everyday battle. These are things that you have to work towards every single day and be intentional about it, because if you're not, you're going to let it fall by the wayside. They don't say whatever you don't use, you lose. And it's the same thing with these. If you don't practice these principles every day towards your men's mental health and getting intentional about it, it's going to fall by the wayside and you're going to continue to feel like this. So correcting the way that you eat is very big when it comes to depression. Certain foods carry certain energy. We know certain meats, if they're not cleaned properly, if they're stored improperly, the vegetables, if they're, all of these chemicals, all of these additive preservatives that add into the food, you have to be cognizant and conscious on what you're putting into your body. They say your gut is like your second brain. They work hand in hand. If this don't feel right, it's gonna send a signal to your brain. If your brain don't feel right, it's sending a signal to your stomach. They work, they work hand in hand. Learning breathing exercises, going to the gym. The gym is like one of the most, I say the gym saved my life. Right underneath God. It was God in the gym. The gym gives you something to work towards every day. It gives you a goal. A lot of times when we fall into depression, it's because we have nothing to look forward to. When you feel like your life when you feel like your life isn't where it needs to be, when you have social media and you're on there watching people constantly and you're scrolling constantly, you start to think like, man, it's 20-year-old millionaires. Man, he got this. Man, he got that. We're in a society today where it's easy to fall into a depression because it's easy to compare yourself to others. They say that the comparison is the thief of all joy. And so I had to get into the gym. And I had to give myself something to look forward to every single day. Oh, I know I'm going to go in there and kill it today. Oh, I know I'm going to go in there and crush it today. I'm winning in this lane. You have to give yourself something to win every single day. Set up a win for yourself. I like to say small wins matter. You have to set up these small wins for yourself because it does something to the chemicals in your brain. That serotonin that's inside of your brain. Whenever you feel good or it releases this serotonin and it just does something to your body. You have to know about these things. Look up dopamine. Look up the serotonin in your body. Look up the frontal lobe. A lot of people, we wake up in this body every single day and people don't have the education or the know-how within themselves to navigate through these things. It came with a lot of research. You have to go out and read and be intentional about navigating through these. So yeah, the gym definitely saved my life, man. It gave me something to work towards every day. It gave me a goal. And at the end of the day, when you give people something to look forward to, give people something to work for, give them something that's bigger than themselves, an environment, people around them, they tend to grow. Their mind grows. And whatever you do, you know what I'm saying? However you do something, you know what I'm saying? You do everything that same exact way. The gym can translate to every area of your life. It can pour into every area of your life that you didn't even realize. And you look up, you done been in the gym 2 to 3 months. You done lost all this weight. You looking good. You feeling good. You done started eating right. You done started writing your goals down. You done started reading. Your mind has started to expand. You cut off all these toxic people. You done start reading your Bible. You back in church. You feeling good, looking good. And then, boom, it comes back. That depression, that feeling of, oh man, I'm not doing enough. Oh man, I'm not this, that, and the third. It's gonna come back. But now what? Oh, I already know these feelings. I don't have to get down on myself. I've been here before. I know these feelings. Let me go back and sit down and really think about this. Let's do this all over again. So when you get the tools that you need, you're gonna have those tools equipped with you forever. But you have to be intentional about using the tools. You know, they say that knowledge is in power, applied knowledge is power. And you have to have true power of self in order to be free. You know, they say that whatever you don't control, they say whatever you fear has power over you. So if you fearing these things, if you don't want to deal with these things because they feel like they're just too strong for you, they're gonna kill you every single time. Not kill you, but they're gonna take over you every single time if you give it that power to. So I hope you guys are taking some gems from this. I hope this is helping you guys, you men out there. And then number 3, we have the unresolved trauma. So let's talk about what trauma is. In the book, The Myth of Normal, it talks about trauma is not being what happened to you. Excuse me. A lot of people think that trauma is what happened to them. Trauma isn't what happened to you, because you can have 2 people that go through the same exact thing. One person can be affected by it and the other person can't. And that's why trauma cannot be what happened to you. Trauma is the long lasting effects that you have throughout your life. Because that's just like saying, oh, something scary happened. Well, once you're scared and your body calms down, you're no longer scared anymore. You don't say, oh, I was scared 3 years ago and now every time I'm scared again. You know, that's trauma. The trauma is what you feel on the inside. So it's that feeling in your gut that you get when that trigger happens again. So let's just say that when you grew up, you was bullied all the time and it did something to you. Like it sent you into like this depressive state where you want to, do physical harm. God forbid that's anybody on this channel. Drop down in the comments how you feel mentally right now, man. When you're listening to this, how you feel mentally. Tell me 2 things you're grateful about down in the comment section. Like and subscribe if this video is helping you. I appreciate you guys for even tuning in. So the unresolved trauma. Let's just say that you got bullied as a kid and you grow up and now you see kids getting bullied. So it does something to you. It angers you. It makes you want to lash out and beat up every kid that bullies somebody. You like, I don't even know why I'm so angry about this. I don't even know why. Why do I feel like this? And you start to sit back and you spend that time with yourself and you like, man, I was bullied. So whenever I see a bully, it angers me and I want to do something about it. That's how trauma works. That's with everything. Now, it's not saying that this feeling isn't going to come back. That's not how trauma works. It's going to come back. It's how you deal with it when it comes back. That's just like, let's just take a robber, for instance, or, you know what I'm saying, and a cop. They get trained on how to, combat robbers. One time the robber comes, they may let him go free, and then the next time they're properly prepared on how to catch the robber. So the next time it comes, they know how to deal with it. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, say that makes sense down in the comment section. So that's how I like to look at trauma. It's not telling yourself, oh, it's going to go away for good. No, it's going to surface again. And I think that's the beauty of it. Right? Isn't that the beauty of it? It's like, now I can actually see if what I learned works. Because now if it does work, I can go tell it to somebody else. They'll be able to do it. And that's the beauty of it. Going through something to teach somebody how to grow through it, man. That's the beauty of it, man. And you just have a testimony at the end of the day, which is super dope in my opinion. You have a testimony that can help other people. And that's why I do what I do, honestly. So whenever you have those unresolved traumas, you see little kids starving on the street because you was once that little kid, and you get this feeling, and it's like a lot of times it comes off as anger. In men, it comes off as anger. And that's what's so bad about it, is like, stemming back from our childhood, we were always taught to, men not supposed to cry, hold everything in. And so now as an adult, when you having these feelings, you like, man, why am I even feeling like this? Like I'm not supposed to. It's natural. Don't let anybody tell you the way that you're feeling isn't natural or you're not supposed to. You're a grown man. We need to start navigating towards emotional intelligence, especially as black men. An emotional man is a dangerous man, and that is the most scariest thing. I have a little cousin, you know what I'm saying? God rest her soul, who was murdered in a domestic violence case from an unhealed man. So this is something that's very near and dear to my heart, as far as like trying to heal the masses, trying to heal the man that's on this podcast, and give you guys gems and tools that you guys can go forth and use so that you don't end up in a situation like that at all. I've lashed out before. I've gotten in physical altercations. Everybody does it. It's normal. And know this, when you face these situations again, they will arise again. It could 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. And if these tools don't work and you're not your very best in a situation, don't get hard. Don't be hard on yourself about it. Forgive yourself. Talk to God about it. Hey, God, I'm going to be better next time. I was less than my best this time, but I'm going to be better next time. And just move on from it. A lot of times you get depressed because you're hanging up on the way that you handle the situation. A lot of the times when you're too hung up on the past and you're too caught up on what's in the future, it robs you of today's joys. And that can happen a lot of times with what you experience. You're like, I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have said that. Why did I act like that? I'm so dumb. I'm so stupid. But you have to watch what you say. Like I said, life and death is in the power of the tongue. So now this is what I want you to say when it happens. Man, I was less than my best. God, please forgive me. Allow me to give me the tools to equip me to do better next time. Hey, and you're going to do better next time. That's how God works. The power of prayer is real. So that unresolved trauma, just know the trauma isn't what happened to you. It's the long-lasting effects that came from what happened to you, and you have to learn how to deal with it when it comes, right? So I hope that helped you guys. And then how it relates to relationship and business and negative life. We all know our anxiety, depression, and unresolved trauma. A lot of times, what does it do? It causes us to be angry. Causes us to be mad. Causes us to want to get physical. Right? And maybe I spelled that wrong. I'm not the best speller, but it causes us to get angry, mad, and physical. And the thing about that is, what can it do? The first thing that it does is, it affects that relationship and business life. Whenever you're angry, mad, physical, you always attack the people that you're closest to. And this happened to me in my relationships. I felt all this anger, mad, physical, from anxiety, depression, unresolved trauma, and I wanted to take it out on the people that love me the most. They would come around trying to talk to me. I don't want to talk. Y'all don't love me. Y'all don't really like me. It's this, that victim mentality, because you don't want to deal with it. You rather beat up the people that love you the most instead of going out and dealing with it. And this was me. If you're one of those men who beating up your girlfriend, and I'm not saying physically, I mean mentally, you're talking crazy to her, you're talking down to her, you can't focus on work because you want to get drunk every day, you want to use pills and drink to avoid handling these the right way, okay, it's going to affect your business and relationships. Nobody's going to want to be around you. Nobody's going to want to hire you. Not going to make any money. Ultimately, this right here is what can help resolve it. Making more money makes you have a higher sense of purpose. You can help people with that money. You can't leave God broke. You need to have good business. You need to have great relationships. Relationships at the core of rich. All people that are rich have great relationships. They're not cutting ties with people. They're not cursing these people out. They're not being angry, mad, or physical with them. They're actually doing the work so that they can use these to empower this. All right, so now let's look at that in a positive light. The anxiety, depression, the unresolved trauma, the relationships, and the business. Now let's cross out this. Now you got happy, joyful, laughing, right? So now you got happy, joyful, laughing. You're not physical, angry, and mad anymore. Now you can pour into your wife. You can pour into your girlfriend. You can pour into your kids. You can pour into your friends. You can give them these tools and tricks. Tell them you love them. I appreciate you guys. I'm grateful for you guys. Same thing in business. Man, when you look good, you feel good, you happy, man, you're going to go make the best money. You're going to be able to pour into the church, pour into your people. Man, you're going to be the best man ever because now instead of being angry, you're happy. Instead of mad, you're joyful. Instead of being physical, you're laughing. And this is where I want you guys to get to, right here. I want you to stay away from this. But if you're less than your best, like I said, you can have that conversation with God, and that's between you two. Nobody can judge you but God. But I always let I always let this get affected because of these things right here. But I'm always able to get closer, to draw nearer to God and come and get out of that. Excuse me. So I thank you guys for tuning in today to the Abundant Behavior Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Ali Banks. I hope that these tools and these notes that you guys took today, I hope you were taking copious notes on these. If you like this video, if you want to see more of these videos, help me by just commenting, liking, and subscribing to this video on men's mental health. I'm going to be doing more of these. I'm going to try to drop 2 videos a month outside of the actual podcast where I sit down with a guest, where I get on here and actually talk to you guys, move you guys, motivate you guys, and push you guys to be a better self. So like I said, on this platform, what I like to do is bridge the gap from what the everyday listener knows, from what I know or the entrepreneur knows, because they say that the biggest gap in the world is between knowing and doing. And the reason a lot of people don't do is because a lot of people don't know. So you guys go ahead, like and subscribe, share this video with as many people as you can. Send this to a family member that needs it. Send this to a loved one that needs it. And you guys go out and continue to be great.